drastic change requires drastic change. A lot of people don't want to admit that, because they don't want to face something hard, something challenging. And it's not easy, to quit your job or leave a relationship or leave a city. And you run through all these scenarios in your head that are more desirable than the one you're currently in. And you want to do them, you do, but that urge never really becomes a reality because you face all these barriers, these what ifs, these roadblocks and challenges that dissuade you from swimming against the current. Because it takes strength to swim against the current. It takes courage. And there's social pressure. We're social animals, we're humans, and as social animals, we want to fit in. We want to be looked at as like normal or sane and get these pats on the back. We want that acknowledgement and that validation. And there's also money. What if you had no money coming in when you quit your job? What if maybe your partner is your biggest financial provider? What if you move cities and the cost of living is more expensive? How are you going to feed yourself? How are you going to live? We're so shackled and chained to the earth by our perspectives and what our conditioning told us to be reality. Understand that life is constant flow. Understand that it can change at any time. And if you're waiting for life to happen to you and you want to change drastically, then you're waiting for something traumatic. A death in the family, a breakup out of left field, a diagnosis, whatever. Which reminds me, there's this DJ that I like, Yosuke Yukimatsu, and his story is pretty interesting. He was doing like construction jobs in Japan and DJing on the side as like a hobby. But then one day he got diagnosed with brain cancer. So he was like, you know what? I'm just going to pursue DJing full time. And his cancer like went into remission, or he got treated or whatever. And now he's like one of the greatest DJs of all time. And that's pretty inspiring, but it kind of needs to be looked at in a different light. You need to look at that and be like, I'm dying anyways. I might not have brain cancer. It might not be as immediate, but I am going to die. That is a fact. So I need to pursue what it is I actually want to pursue in life. But when you lack the courage to change yourself, but life is calling you to change, then something traumatic will occur as a catalyst for that change. When I was 16, I had a stroke and I was paralyzed on the right side of my body and I had aphasia. So I couldn't talk, I couldn't walk. But my cognitive ability was still sharp. I would have these conversations with myself in my head because I couldn't talk to anyone. I could only listen. It was really, really humbling, but my reality drastically shifted because I was an athlete in high school and I had to relearn how to walk, I had to relearn how to write, and learn how to navigate the world again. And I think life was just calling me to change, and I didn't take action. And then something drastic, something came out of left field, and it hit me like a bus. And now I'm 23 years old, and I've been waiting for life to happen to me. And I crave this drastic change, but I'm failing to take action, so I'm waiting for like a traumatic thing to happen as a catalyst for change, for my next chapter. And lately it's just been feeling like I'm stuck. It feels like my change is more gradual, more natural or normal. It feels like I'm falling in line, like I'm being herded. And I understand this theory that I'm spitting today about drastic change requiring drastic change. And yet I lack the courage to take that leap of faith. And I'm in sort of like a limbo right now in life. And I mean, I'm slowly moving forward. I'm slowly learning how to live, and I'm slowly living. I recently quit my job because I just couldn't stand riding a desk and taking orders from someone I didn't respect and just pretending to like the people around me that I didn't really give a shit about. I was tired of faking work and pursuing these like goals and incentives that I didn't really care to achieve. And I have enough savings right now to stay afloat for a while. And I'm trying to rewrite my conditioning to tell myself that I don't need money, that I don't need a job, that I don't need a girlfriend, that I don't need to be confined by a calendar. I'm searching for the me that I know I could be. I'm searching for a me that like my 10-year-old self would be proud of. I'm searching for God, man. And I am completely unsure of what's on the other side of this particular change, but I do know that change is an irremovable variable and that I can only guide it slightly with my actions today. Drastic change requires drastic change, man.